What an avoidant woman secretly fears after hurting a good man. Most people think that when an avoidant woman walks away from a good man, she feels relieved, empowered, finally free. But that's not what happens. What follows isn't celebration. It's a very specific kind of unraveling that most men never see because they're too busy trying to win her back or figure out what they did wrong. The truth is far more complex than regret. And what happens in her mind after she pushes you away might change everything you thought you knew about why she left. Here's what no one tells you. When she walks away, her nervous system exhales first. Not because leaving was healthy, but because intimacy felt like a threat signal her body had to escape. Research on avoidant attachment shows that closeness activates a stress response in these individuals, even when the partner is kind, stable, and emotionally safe. So when she pulls away, her body experiences immediate relief. The pressure is off. The expectations disappear. She can finally breathe. And for the first few days, that relief feels like validation. She tells herself she chose freedom. She needed space. You were too available, too intense, too much. She created a narrative where leaving you was an act of self-preservation. Her brain works overtime to make her actions make sense because she's not a villain. She doesn't want to be the person who hurts good people. So the story has to justify the distance. But relief is not peace. It's just her nervous system coming down from activation. And it's temporary. Within a week or two, something shifts. The relief fades and a different feeling surfaces. Discomfort she can't quite name. Because the problem with hurting a good man is there's no villain in the story afterward. You didn't explode when she pulled away. You didn't manipulate or beg endlessly. You stepped back with dignity. And that dignified exit is deeply unsettling to her. This is when the first major fear appears. Self-recognition. She starts to see that nothing was actually wrong with you. The relationship didn't fail because you lacked something. It failed because she couldn't stay when things got real. And that awareness cuts deeper than guilt. Guilt can be pushed away, numbed, distracted from. But self-recognition demands honesty. It forces her to confront a painful truth. Emotional safety feels more threatening to her than chaos ever did. Chaos is predictable. Distance is controllable. But calm, consistent love requires staying open when every instinct says to shut down. And she couldn't do it. Then another fear quietly follows. The fear that this loss is permanent. Avoidant individuals often operate with an unconscious assumption that people are elastic, that you can push someone away and they'll still be there when you're ready. But when a good man gets hurt deeply, something fundamental shifts in him. He doesn't become angry. He becomes clear. His energy pulls back. His availability disappears. And she senses this shift even without direct contact. Research shows that avoidant people experience delayed separation distress. While anxiously attached people feel the pain immediately, avoidant individuals feel it weeks or months later. So right now, she's starting to feel what you felt when she first left. The difference is you dealt with it while she was still accessible. She has to deal with it while watching you become inaccessible. And this brings a haunting question. What if I don't get access to this kind of love again? She might start dating. Some connections might even look good on paper. But something feels fundamentally different. Conversations don't linger. Emotional exchanges lack depth. There's less warmth, less understanding, less care. And without trying to, she starts comparing. Not logically, but emotionally. She remembers how you listened, really listened, how you created space for her without demanding she fill it, how being around you felt safe in a way that terrified her. Those memories don't fade. They sharpen. And this brings another layer of fear. The fear that she now knows what she lost. Before you, she could tell herself relationships just weren't the right fit. The timing was off. The chemistry wasn't there. But once you experience healthy love, you can't unknow it. You can't pretend you don't understand what real intimacy looks like. And that knowledge follows her into every future connection, exposing how shallow everything else feels by comparison. Hurting a good man also exposes her emotional limits in a way nothing else can. You didn't demand vulnerability. You invited it. You created space for it. And when she couldn't meet you there, it revealed something painful. Intimacy isn't just something she avoids. It's something she doesn't fully know how to sustain. That realization threatens her entire self-concept. Avoidant women often see themselves as strong, independent, self-sufficient. But being loved brings old wounds to surface. Wounds she learned to manage by staying distant, by maintaining control, by leaving first. Another fear emerges when you start truly healing, when you stop reaching out, when your emotional availability, which was always a quiet safety net, disappears completely. Something destabilizes inside her, not always because she wants a relationship back, but because she no longer has access to someone who saw her with genuine care, someone who held her gently even when she pushed him away. Your healing means she has to sit with the finality of what she did without the cushion of your presence. And that forces her to confront the most painful realization of all. The fear that love didn't overwhelm her. Her fear did, ****. The relationship wasn't too much. You weren't unsafe. The intimacy wasn't wrong. Her nervous system simply didn't know how to stay open when things became real. And once she sees this pattern, she can't unsee it. The excitement, the closeness, the discomfort, the withdrawal, the loss. She starts recognizing it in past relationships. She sees it playing out in her present. And that brings quiet, lingering grief. Not the loud kind, the kind that shows up late at night, in moments of emptiness, in sudden waves of regret. This is why some avoidant women reach out months or even years later, not because they've healed, but because fear has matured into longing. And longing feels safer than vulnerability. Reaching out lets her test whether the door is still open without doing the real work of facing her wounds. But changing the pattern requires what her system has spent a lifetime avoiding: vulnerability, emotional work, facing old wounds. So sometimes she chooses numbness over growth, distance over introspection, familiar loneliness over unfamiliar healing. She also fears that you now see her clearly, not as mysterious, not as misunderstood, but as emotionally unavailable. A good man sees potential. He believes in growth. He gives the benefit of the doubt. When that lens breaks, she loses a version of herself that felt admired and safe. Being seen clearly feels threatening when you haven't faced your wounds yet. And this leads to her deepest fear, that losing you meant something, that it wasn't just another relationship, that it was a turning point, that she didn't just hurt a man, she missed an opportunity to experience love without games, emotional armor, or power struggles. That truth brings grief, quiet, lingering grief. The kind that doesn't demand attention, but never fully leaves. Here's what matters most, especially if you were that good man. She doesn't fear losing love in general. She fears becoming someone who fundamentally cannot sustain it. Hurting you forces her to confront that possibility. And whether she faces it or runs from it, that fear stays with her. Your consistency didn't scare her because it was weak. It scared her because it was real. The fear she carries now isn't proof that you didn't matter. It's proof that you mattered too much. And understanding this doesn't mean you wait for her to figure it out. It doesn't mean you hold the door open indefinitely. It means you recognize that your capacity to love wasn't the problem. So you have two choices. Hold on to this, hoping she'll come back different. Or take it as confirmation that you gave something real, something valuable. And use that knowledge to move forward, knowing you were never too much for the right person. Both choices are valid, but only one sets you free. And that choice starts right now.